What is up, everyone? Welcome to Roundtable Talks here at CCTV. And today we are talking about dating apps. And yes, I mean Tinder, Hinge, Bumble. There's a lot out there. There's like ChristianMingle.com. Grindr. There's a lot. So we're gonna go through all of them. If some of us know what those apps are. And before we jump to the questions, if you don't feel comfortable sharing some things or answering some questions, feel free to just not participate in the conversation. So share as you need, share as you please. Before we jump to the first question, let's introduce ourselves. I'll start with me and our special guest here. My name is Alfonso Mateo, and I work here at CCTV. And this is Georgette Mercado, our special guest for tonight.
I'm Georgette Mercado, and I'm Alfonso's best friend. Thank you guys for having me.
I'm Maritza and I work here at CCTV.
I'm Yanka Petri, and I also work here at CCTV.
Period. And now we can jump to the first question. Let's start with the most basic question, which is, do you use dating apps? Why or why not? Because I know some of us don't. Some of us do or did in the past. So, who wants to start?
I could start. I don't necessarily use dating apps anymore anyway. I'll get into what I did in my past life when I was single, but I've taken like more of a traditional path in my romantic life. I met my current boyfriend when we were 14 and we started dating when we were 17.
So cute.
So we've been together since we were 17, breaks in between, and then that allowed me to explore dating apps, and I can talk about that, but I don't currently use dating apps. So I don't even know what's out there right now on Tinder and all these other apps.
So you were one of the lucky ones who found the one in high school.
Yeah. I guess so, yeah.
Good for you.
Well, kind of like Yanka, I met my partner when I was like 13, 14, but we haven't seen each other. Well, we hadn't seen each other in like 10 years up until 2020. But unlike Yanka, I have never used a dating app.
Wow.
Ever. Yeah.
Impressive.
I don't even know what they look like. I know some of what they look like. Like I know the Tinder symbol, and not for good reasons. But I have no idea. And I'm also not as tech savvy, which I probably shouldn't admit that working at a tech place, but
Just edit that, cut that later.
You have an interesting perspective though, for sure.
Yeah, it'll be a very useful perspective.
Yeah.
Well, I do use dating apps, I think ever since college, but I don't use it to like seriously find the one, It's like,
I mean, the goal is to.
The goal is to, I guess, but I mainly use it to just to fill time, to fill up whatever alone time I have, and just, out of boredom, just keep swiping
Break
and
hearts.
seeing.
That's all you do, huh? Just play around.
One way to put it.
No, but I just don't take it seriously. I just use it to see what's out there.
Sorry.
So if somebody swipes right on you.
Right, and then we match.
What if they're looking for love, Hans?
Well, it usually starts with just the most basic
Never looking for love.
conversations.
These days.
And I don't know, I guess I never had a serious encounter on those dating apps, but I do use it till now, but mainly for just out of boredom. How about you?
I would say the same. I don't use them frequently. It's weird to say that I use it when I'm bored, but I guess really more so just to meet people these days, just of the opposite sex. But I do know that there are people who are seriously into dating on those apps, and then that's when it gets tricky. But I think dating apps are so accessible to people, to anyone these days, that it causes a lot of problems, and not everyone is on the same page. But me, personally, I use them here and there. Actually, rarely. The first time I ever made Tinder was in Puerto Rico, and my best friends over here, decided to force me to make a Tinder so we could meet group,
Did not
because
force
there's
you.
group meet on Tinder.
Oh.
There
And they
used to be a
wanted
group meet
us-
on Tinder.
As a group to meet another group, and they were like, "Oh, you have to be part of the group, or else like we'll
That's
get more
kinda
people if like if you're in the
As
in the
friends
group."
too. It's not usually like
Yeah.
for like romance.
I thought it was
It's
dope.
just-
I thought it was dope. So I was like, "Oh, I want to meet a group and a group because why not party in Puerto Rico together?"
Yeah.
And I just kind of kept Tinder ever since, and I just go pop on some people, cute. I never end up talking to them because I don't know. It's like texting
Yeah.
strangers.
Yeah.
How do you text back strangers?
Interesting.
So
I never heard of the
fascinating.
group thing.
Yeah.
That's cool, and
Me
it's
either.
like safer too in a way, because if you're going with the group,
Exactly.
it feels more
Right.
like comfortable. I guess I would feel more comfortable.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
Well, since it's kind of like a mix, like half of us don't either never use or don't use dating apps, half of us do use dating apps every now and then. It leads us to the question of what do we think about traditional versus modern dating? And what I mean by that is, when I say traditional, I mean meeting people in person, you know, going up to someone and introducing yourselves and, you know, trying to see if there's a spark, trying to be friends with them. Versus modern dating, and what I mean by modern are the dating apps.
Cyber dating.
Cyber dating, basically. So,
And a lot of that happens too. Like I don't know if you guys are familiar with the show Catfish,
yes.
but it's so interesting to watch that because there's so many people that get fooled by people on the internet, like in these dating apps, and they go years and years and years of their lives talking to these people just for company and I guess to find that spark that we keep talking about, but they never actually meet these people, and half of the time they're getting catfished. So that's really interesting to think about. I
Agreed.
completely jumped, like that wasn't even the question, but it just something that
yeah.
I
I
thought
mean,
of.
it's not usually traditional dating, I would think.
Right.
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 So
Yeah.
that's the point of the catfishing, is because you're not meeting in person, which
That's
is
true.
traditional. So you're forced to catfish because no one's gonna find out what I really look like or who I really am.
That's true. Yeah.
But in terms of traditional, there's a lot of the older folks out there, and the older generations, who think that dating apps are not the way to do it. Like specifically in my family, I know a lot of people, like my uncles, aunts, and like my parents, even my mom, she would make comments about how I never get why people nowadays use dating apps, and she thinks it's like so dangerous and like creepy.
She thinks it's like ingenuine.
Yeah, but at the same time, she always talks about how, you know, her and my dad met in college and that's how it started. So, and considering the fact that there were really no dating apps back then, so they really can't relate to the times now.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like inevitable times.
Right.
Yeah. But we can't go
Versus-
back now. I mean, there's internet
Exactly.
everywhere. Like, we can't resort to having to force ourselves to
Yeah.
meet people in person, write letters to each other,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I love,
And
but that
knowing-
kind of died.
Right. And knowing people with that traditional mindset, I think puts people in sort of like oh, I'm ashamed that I'm using dating apps
Yeah,
mindset,
right.
which is why they're not really open to it, because there are a lot of people out there who like,
You can
oh,
feel
you use
sleazy,
dating
yeah,
apps?
like
Oh,
a
you
guilty
guys-
pleasure. Like, you're on dating apps. Like, you
Right.
don't talk to people in person. Like,
oh,
you
yeah.
feel weird. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I just thought it was an interesting question or a talking point to talk about
That is interesting.
Yeah.
traditional versus modern dating and what you think about those two
Yeah.
and which you lean on more.
I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle because I may not have used a dating app, but when I like reconnected with my partner after so long, it was through Facebook. Like he found me and he's still not in the state. So it's a long distance relationship. And so we kind of rely on technology.
Right.
I mean, we talk every single day and we talk for hours, and sometimes that's why I'm so tired. But it's definitely not a traditional relationship, you know, in the sense of like we met at a meet cute and he brought me flowers and then we went on a date. You know, it's like we talked for like a couple of months, and then he came up here, and then we just spent time together, and then I went down to see him. But like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever had like a traditional dating arrangement. Like even my last ex, like he slid in my DMs, but I had known him also. So like my situation is just weird anyways, because like everybody that I've ever, well, that's not true, but definitely my last 3 partners were people that I had known.
Social media.
Well,
You reconnected through social media.
yeah. And so that's like a weird
It's like in between
Yeah.
traditional versus modern, because it's really not a dating app, but it's
Right.
still online.
You can meet anyone anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just the whole concept of internet, but specifically dating apps are geared to just go straight to talking to people that
Yeah.
you find attractive or share your
Exactly.
similar interests.
Right. And even then, I would argue that some people still think that meeting someone through these social media apps is a little better than dating apps, which is really weird
Interesting.
that people are shaming these dating apps. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, aren't you meeting a stranger anyways? Like even if you met them in person, right? You know,
Maybe
all
it's
strangers to
It's
each
like
other.
that idea that like these old heads probably have, that like you are so thirsty, I guess, to go straight into a dating app, that it's like you don't want to take the time to naturally meet someone in a given environment, or like, you know, or through people. You actually want to just hunt and like shop for someone, which I think might add to the whole deal of like, ooh, you go on dating apps.
Yeah.
You want to find someone, like, I don't know.
Well,
I don't
I-
share that that thought, so I'm not sure.
right?
I like definitely took the traditional route here. Like my partner and I met in physics class when we were freshmen in high school.
That's sweet.
So, well, we started out as friends, but years later we reconnected and, you know, started this thing that we never thought we even have happened. But interesting to hear that, because, well, I guess I'll go into how I started with the dating apps is when I was much younger, and I think I was like a sophomore in high school. I made a Tinder profile and I said I was 18 because at the time, well, I don't know if things have changed, but at the time you had to be 18 to be on these apps. And so I lied that I was 18 because, you know, high school, you do these things, and started swiping right on people, but just for fun, like this whole concept of like just doing it for fun because you're
Right.
bored, and it's like almost like a new social media platform, or it was anyway. And I was like talking to strangers, mind you, I'm like 14 or 15 at this time, and people want to meet up, but obviously like I knew the boundaries, and I was like, I'm not doing this. First of all, I
It got real.
can't even do this because I'm 15. But then I took a break from it, and my partner and I broke up when I was a senior in college, so 4 years into the relationship, and I got back into the dating apps, but not for any reason other than, again, having fun. And so my good friend in college and I would do this thing that we would set up our dating profiles in the same area when we're together and swipe on as many people as we could and see who we match with, and like see if she would match with the same person.
Ooh, what a game.
And then we would have the same conversation with this person
oh,
purely
what
out
a
of boredom.
game.
Like it's really messed up actually. And we did this a lot, and then we had a lot of photos together, so our profile would look the same, and they would think they're talking to the same person, but it's
Yanka,
like
that's a little twisted.
yeah,
That's a little sick.
that's real boredom right there. Like clearly seniors in
But
college
you never
didn't
acted
know.
on
So
it.
Yanka's the
but-
one that you have to watch out for on the dating.
I guess so. I've never, so with that, I would say that I've never met anybody from a dating app in person. Never. And well, we'll see. I don't know what the future holds, but I don't see myself going back into the dating apps for a while anyway. And if I do, it's like, again, for friendship. There's so
Right.
many dating apps out there, and we can talk about this later. They're just for friendship. Like you can make friends on these apps that,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
You sounded a
Not
little
towards you,
afraid.
but to the general public, like,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, but anyway, I'll let someone else carry the conversation.
But no,
now,
that's a
but-
good point, because it actually leads to one of the questions, which is dating safety 101. Like, how safe do you think dating apps are? And personally, I think I've also actually never met up with someone from those like Tinder, Hinge, Bumble applications because of the fear that I just don't know who this person is. And through other apps, I did meet some people, but I never went over their place. It was always them coming over to my dorm because my dorm is much safer than going over someone's
You're just popping
place.
over to someone's place, they
Yeah.
can
Right.
snatch you up and you'd never be seen again.
Right, like I know a person who
Like you have security in your building.
exactly, and I know a person who uses the dating app, who used the dating apps back then, and he would just go over when she knows exactly what I'm talking about, but
He's
he
shading
would
someone right now.
go over other people's places, like
Yeah.
as far as like
It was a little concerning just in terms of safety as his friend. We were like, wow.
right, but you gotta live your life. His motto is like YOLO basically, so he would literally travel just to meet up with that person, and I would tell him all the time like, you should probably just
Cut it out.
have them come over your dorm. It's probably
Yeah.
safer. So it's a huge question, like, is it safe or not? And like, are you comfortable with it?
It's so funny because I definitely have a friend like that will like, we're in our 30s, and one of my favorite stories with this friend, we used to sit and he would be on Grindr or whatever those apps are, and like I'd be like, no, not that one, this one, yes, yeah, like, and so like we would sit there and look at things. But there was one time he was visiting me, and we had been out dancing, and I went to go take a shower, and I came out and he was gone, and I was like, where are you? It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I looked through my whole house first, and then I text him like, hey, did you just go outside? What's going on? He matched with somebody and just decided to leave in the middle of the night.
Oh my
But like,
God.
how safe is that? Like,
Right.
one,
Right.
you left my house and I didn't know. Like, you didn't even
Right,
tell me.
yeah.
But like, you're just going to meet up with a stranger in the middle of the night. And I get what Grindr's all about because it's not the same as like all of the other apps.
There's an intention.
Right. But like,
Definitely.
safety is a thing. And like, and how did, so like y'all who met, like you, I don't know if, Georgette, I don't even remember if you said that you've met up with anybody from these apps, but like.
I have actually.
She
How
has.
do you manage the safety of that? Like, do you tell people that you're gonna go meet up with people?
Yeah. I mean, so actually, I do have an ex-flame from Tinder. We dated briefly, but we did like each other for a while. And it's crazy because we'll call him Blake. His name's not Blake, but Blake. It's actually a crazy story because I never thought I would meet anyone and actually meet up with them because I don't care about the dating apps. I like meeting people in person. I just feel like for me I'm sorry, to myself. It's ingenuine to myself because I'm someone who, like, I need to talk to people. Like, I can't really know, I feel like I can't know people if I'm just texting you or Zoom, whatever. But I met him, he went to UConn. And so he's just out of the blue. Like, I didn't know anyone who knew him. And he actually met Alfonso at one point.
Who's-
It's Blake. Come on, you know Blake. Code names.
Go ahead, keep going.
Ruin everything. Now I gotta like out him. No, I'm not gonna out him.
No, don't do it.
But
Keep
yeah,
going.
so I just was cautious. Like, I think it's all about your own, like if you, not that if you don't care, because I mean, our friend, he does care, but you'll still do it anyway. It's really at your own discretion. I mean,
Right.
it's as safe as you make it for yourself. I knew for a fact, well, I didn't know for a fact, but I just had a feeling like there was enough proof for me to know he's not a catfish. So I was like, okay, yeah, we'll meet up. And we met in a public place. Well, we met at the club, which is like a weird place. But that was the first time I ever saw him in
very
person
public.
after talking to him for 8 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
8 months on Tinder, it went from Tinder to texting, and we just got along. Like, we got along so well. Like, he was another best friend that I never knew existed. We met up, he was real. I said, oh, you look exactly like the pictures. Like, you're not a catfish, and neither am I. But yeah, we just, went in separate directions. But in terms of the safety, Alfonso was actually there when I first met him. That was my safety. I made sure that I usually make sure that I bring someone or that they know, him or like one of my other best friends. Like, they usually know if I meet up with someone, because I meet up with them in the city, and they're always in the city. So he was there. I think he might have dropped me off. He's still trying to remember, I can see.
I'm still trying to like really dig in my mind and like
He
give me
probably
the
like
initial,
rejected it from his head.
the initial of the guy's name.
Is this being caught on camera?
Okay, I still don't know. But anyway,
What?
I was
My-
gonna
Disrespectful.
sorry, not
You
to
can
cut you off. I was gonna say 2 tips that I've learned from my girlfriends in college who would go on dates on these dating apps is 1, always share your location with your friends. Like, I mean, all of my close friends and I share locations with each other just because, you know, I share with my family also.
yeah.
It's always good to like track them and see where they are, if they're still in the same place, and if
Stalk
they're
them.
not. Yeah, essentially. And then the other thing is being in a public space, like whether it's a club, you know, clubs are very, very public. So
Right.
if something were to go left, someone else would
Exactly.
be there to like hopefully
yeah.
help the situation.
And plus, it's for me, it was an ideal place. 1, because I love the club, and 2, because a club is a place where dangerous things can tend to happen, unfortunately. And it's one of those places that I know there's going to be someone that can help me. Security, a bartender. There's everyone around me. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Those are my tips, but yeah.
No,
Public
yeah.
spaces, location sharing.
If I were
Important.
to ever like meet up with someone through like, you know, Tinder or one of those dating apps, I would definitely do what you do, which is to share my location with at least one of my friends and even the address that I'm going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm extremely paranoid when it comes to those things. And that's definitely what I would do in terms of dating safety. And then in terms, going back to the traditional versus modern, I think in terms of the modern dating style, I think it's definitely suits people with shyer personalities and the introverts. And it's definitely much more accessible to those people who wouldn't be able to go up to someone at a bar and introduce themselves to that person. You know,
Right.
so it's not, yeah, people should be, I think, more like older folks should be more understanding with people using dating apps because it's an accessibility issue too.
There are a lot of older folks on those apps too.
They're-
Which is like
the same way, accessibility. Like, you know, you don't want to pop out the house, but you're still lonely.
right, yeah.
Right.
I wonder if they have dating apps for
Oh,
people when
Oh,
they're
they
They have
definitely
Christian
do.
Mingle. They have
Yeah.
everything. They have apps for
True.
specifically Asian people.
Interesting.
What is it called? Do you know what it's?
I-
I forget what the name is, but there's an app for.
I'm sure there's
Everything.
apps for
Yeah,
like
there's
all-
one for
yeah.
Black people and it's BLK. I'm pretty sure.
There's another one
I saw
called
it online.
Black People Meet.
Oh yeah,
Literally,
I,
I think it's called Black People Meet or something.
Yeah,
That's dope.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's,
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
which is dope. I mean, whatever you're
Where are my
into.
Latinos at, you know? Where's my Latino dating app?
LatinoMeet.com.
But I know there's
There might be one.
There
there's-
might,
there
for
has
sure.
to be one.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I know there's one dating app where people wait for months before they can actually join the app. No, it's like a waiting list thing where they
So
check.
you're serious about dating? Is that what it is?
Yes, but it's also a little bit elitist because they check your background,
Oh.
what your career is,
Oh,
and
what?
like all of those things about your life before they accept you
That's
into the dating app.
So what do they accept though?
Wow.
I don't know, like you have to be
I
like
think that's very detrimental to someone's idea of themselves. Like, oh crap,
Right.
I'm not even good enough to date to want to go and look to date people. Like, I can't even
But
get
yeah,
accepted to
but
a dating app. Who's
that's
gonna
the
want?
issue.
Yeah.
There's definitely one.
That's an
'cause
issue.
I know someone who, you know, joined the wait list to be
And they got
entered
rejected.
to join that dating app.
How did that go?
And she said how the people, it's just like any other dating app, but the people are way more serious
Oh.
and a little bit more on the older side.
Serial dating.
Yeah, and it was such a fascinating concept because
It is.
now you have to join a wait. It's like they're making it exclusive to like
Right,
this
to
group
find
of
someone.
people.
There's also like celebrity dating apps too. I don't know if
What?
you guys have
I
heard
did
of
not
them.
know
Actually,
that.
did not know that.
Yeah, I can't remember the name, so don't call me out on it. But I watch vloggers from LA, and they always talk about these apps, these celebrity dating apps, and it's just celebrities trying to connect and, I guess, hook up. I don't know.
Wow.
You know, LA
Wait, with, like,
lifestyle.
Okay, that's kind of
People, like,
interesting.
No, it's just celebrities.
Celebrities
or like,
hooking up with other
exactly,
celebrities.
or people who are verified on Instagram or something like that.
Oh,
That's
okay.
another
Which
elitist
is
thing.
really- yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that they're like separating in that sense, especially if you're like famous. I guess that could be a little dangerous if you're just like on the
Mm-hmm.
Right.
public app.
People are gonna want you.
Oh yeah.
for weird stuff too. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what this conversation makes me think of? Like when we're talking about traditional versus modern, they definitely had like speed dating, matchmaking services, and all that kind
back
of stuff.
then.
Yeah,
I think speed dating is dope.
Yeah, right. Because you get to meet a whole bunch of people
In 30 seconds, you gotta
That's cool.
just get
Yeah.
someone's personality in 30 seconds, and that's your initial reaction, and that should be what you initially think of someone is usually. I mean, it does change, but I don't know. I think it's a good way to meet
I want
someone.
to do that.
Well, actually, someone
Fun.
earlier brought up that back then, like 90s, early 2000s, they used to put ads on the newspaper about dating. I don't know much about it, but I thought
Yeah.
I never knew about it.
Wow.
It's like
But-
Craigslist.
Exactly.
Oh my god, yeah.
I think it was the newspaper before they transitioned into the Craigslist. But I never knew that they did that on the newspaper. And it definitely like altered my perspective about, older generations looking down at dating apps. Because in a way, those are also alternatives of dating besides meeting people in person. So they've been
Right.
doing things like that,
Yeah.
just not like without technology.
Yeah, they used to have like hotlines, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 Like go on the radio too.
Yeah.
And talk about your love life.
Yeah, I mean, like all the same thing. So
Yeah.
Well, that leads us to the question of, do you think these dating apps affect someone's body image, insecurities, self-esteem?
oh, absolutely.
I think for many people it does,
Yeah, definitely.
but especially speaking from experience in the LGBTQ community, specifically Grindr, it is a very toxic place where most of the profiles you'll see at least 50% will have like a shirtless photo without even the face. And it's like, and some people are also so bold, they put in the description that, no femmes, no, only mask, only athletic bodies and stuff like that. So I can definitely see how people are affected by dating apps like Grindr, and it definitely deteriorates their body image. It gives them body dysmorphia,
Right.
and it's not good for how they look at themselves. So that's like the toxic side of that one dating app. And I'm sure it happens in other dating apps too,
Yeah.
not just like explicitly. It's like more subtle.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like another social media platform. You
Yeah.
know.
Right. It's just another outlet for someone to either display that they have a good body, or to, for someone to be like, oh, wow, I don't fit here,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate.
But love is love. I feel like, you always end up finding people, as cliche as that sounds, but
Yeah.
people always find each other when they're meant to be, and like, I
I
like
do
these
believe
platforms
that.
because it also like gives you a chance to meet other people who you wouldn't like interact with on a regular
Right.
basis. Like they may shock you. Who knows?
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was. Not for any reason in particular. He wasn't like an odd character to me, but I just didn't think I would meet someone. But yeah, I do agree with how the body dysmorphia comes into play, because I think even on Tinder, like, you're swiping so fast at faces that you don't take a second to think about personality, and that can really
Yeah,
affect
people
how
don't
someone.
even read the bio. They just
I don't
look
read
at
the
the
I didn't, for a
photos.
while I didn't read the bios either, because I mean, sometimes I personally like to be attracted to the person that I'm meeting up with, that I'm talking to. Again, personality
And a lot
is
of
key
people
as well.
have, shallow tendencies like that. And I think it's like just
Reflecting of himself.
It's
There's a lot of people.
A lot of people mean.
no, but it's like it's very common in like that dating app world
Yeah.
where
You look for what you want to see, essentially.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll look until something interests me, someone, and then, I'll go from there. But come to find out, personalities come into play, and that's when people can really see or feel like, oh wow, like it is my looks. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, why am I not getting swiped? I swipe right on everyone. No one swipes and matches me.
I think I watched something too where like bias can play a part in some of that, like where, and then there were like statistics that said it was like Black women and Asian men who are the least chosen on dating apps. And I was like really offended by that, but that it made sense when like you think about the state of the world as it is,
Right.
Definitely.
you know?
And what
Yeah.
people think that those two have to offer to the world.
Yeah, and or it could be the opposite of like for
Fortunately.
other folks, and people are being fetishized, right? For
Right.
so, I mean, but I feel like all of these things that we talked about are things that
Prevalent in day-to-day life.
exactly, whether it's traditional or modern dating, whether you're meeting up in person or talking online, like everybody's a stranger until they're not, right? And like people have their problematic ways that they meet up with people anyways, or
Exactly.
talk to somebody on the street. So like, I mean, have you ever gotten a date from being catcalled? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so
Right.
Let's not talk about that. Cat calling is.
a whole other
I
thing.
A
get-
whole other topic for a roundtable.
We
Right.
should, yeah.
But I guess to wrap everything up, I guess what is your consensus? Is it to use or not to use dating apps?
Why limit?
You can.
Sorry,
It's
I didn't mean
okay.
to cut
Go
you
ahead.
off. I mean, why limit who people can meet? You know, I say go for it. Just be safe about it and be mindful of how you approach other people and how you come off as well in terms of, you know, to other people. But yeah, I see no problem with it. I mean, it's just another way to meet people. Why not?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I think it's been the same ever since. It's just now it's more advanced and it's easier. So there shouldn't be any shame with using a dating app. I think you just gotta be safe and you just gotta do whatever you're comfortable with. But if you want to use it, go use it. If you don't, then don't. Like I think
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's up to you. But personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think you look for love where you want to look, and I hope whoever's looking
That's-
finds it.
Yes,
Aw.
Love,
like
I think
that.
love will find you anywhere. Honestly,
Yeah.
whether
That's
it be
what I was saying, yeah.
true love
Like-
will find you anywhere.
I know. Yeah, I agree with everyone. Do it if it feels right. Don't do it when you're 15, please. Do not stay out of that. Not worth it, especially nowadays. Like, let's talk about safety. You know,
Good lesson from Yanka.
Yes.
Yes,
I
Mama
work with
Yanka.
young people, so I do not want to see you on those dating apps.
No.
It has happened once.
Wow.
Really weird. Not gonna go into it, but I was like, you know, just browsing or whatever, and I saw somebody who I used to teach, and that's really weird. So, don't do that. Don't be that person. Meet people in high school, like me. You know, meet people in physics class. Another thing that I was gonna say. Sorry, not to keep talking, but on Hinge they do this cool feature on the app that you can add voice memos now, so you can
Oh, I
like.
saw that. Yeah.
I thought that was so cool. It's like a new
dope.
thing. Yeah, and you can people can actually hear your voice and know that you're not a robot, hopefully. I mean, people
You
I'm
could
sure
It's
fabricate
still so
anything, I
easy.
guess.
It literally
Yeah.
is so
Really, just
easy to
record it
fake
from a movie,
voice.
but don't do that.
yeah, but anyway, I thought that was a cool concept. My friend who uses Hinge told me.
That's cool.
And in addition to that, like you can answer specific questions and leave it on your profile, which is really cool.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
like what you're looking for and things like that. So anyway, yeah. Do what you
Well-
want to do. Love is love.
Yes to dating apps.
That's it for this episode of Roundtable Talks at CCTV, dating apps episode. And for anyone watching, go ahead. If you want to use the dating app, use it. If you don't, then don't. But be safe.
Safety first.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes.
And
Period.
enjoy.
Use that finger. Put it to work. Swipe, swipe, swipe.
Literally.
No, not like that. Oh my gosh.
Put that in there.
Anyways, we're done. We're
Literally.
done.
That's a good ending.